Been playing Street Fighter Beta, the urge to play Third Strike came back to me. And as I'm playing Third Strike, I might as well play all the Street Fighter games, even if that means 5. Now, quick rules before you say anything. You can play this Street Fighter that was never released, but the people got a copy of it. I will be talking about 1, 2, 3, Alpha, 4, and 5, and one version of each, except for 2. And that will be the latest version of each game. Okay, we got the rules. Let's begin with as the first Street Fighter ever made, it is so god-awful. It's the slowest, clunkiest game ever made. All you can play is Ryu and Ken, and their movements feel so bad. It's clunky, no combos. If you try to do an input, it feels near impossible to get it right. Even in arcade mode, it's god-awful. And there are some characters who make a return, like Sagat later, but never play this game. Just don't, right? If you want to play an old classic Street Fighter game, you'll play Now we're in the action. Street Fighter 2, really setting fighting games in stone. We all know the World Warriors, the classic moves. Everything is here. Combos, finally in the game. Missiles into special moves, which is supposedly a glitch. Heck, there are more versions of Street Fighter than there are NBC games. Now, the version most people remember is actually the second, which allows Bison and his crew to be playable. This is about the same, and it's still a good game. It can sometimes feel a bit sluggish, but playing through arcade, I did die a lot. And yes, there were many versions, like Super, which added super moves, new challengers, which added T-Hawk, Fei Long, DJ, and Cammy, and as well as Akuma as a secret boss who was able to unlock, but is the first banned fighting game character. There was also Turbo version, which speeds the game up tenfold. I absolutely suck at Turbo, couldn't do a thing. Bases of Turbo and Akuma we get into. This is technically Street Fighter 3, but because timeline-wise it's before 2, they called it Alpha. But Capcom also doesn't really care about chronological order because 4 and 5 are before 3. Okay, but this is not about the Street Fighter story, mainly just about gameplay. This game feels the fastest out of everything. This feels like Turbo Street Fighter with just a shit ton of more characters. It plays the most like an anime fighting game. At a time, I almost forgot it was Street Fighter with a lot of new characters and anime-esque looking people. First, I never understood this game. It was very different from 2 and 3, but it is one of my favorite Street Fighters now after playing for a bit. My favorite is Akuma, as they just gave him a bit too much in this version. But I do absolutely suck at Alpha. It's still an extremely fun game. It's oddly a different take on Street Fighter, as out of all the games, it plays the most different out of everything. And it was the first one to introduce some Final Fight characters in the mix. Alpha was a great turn for Street Fighter that truly led us to the next step.
So what's it gonna be? You're trapped in a new world of Street Fighter 3. The third chapter, so what's it gonna be? You're trapped in a new world of Street Fighter 3. Make your first move, so what's it gonna be? You're trapped in a new world of Street Fighter 3. The third chapter, so what's it gonna be? The third strike, y'all, is Street Fighter 3. Street
Fighter 3. Capcom decided to be a little quirky and get rid of all the fan favorite characters, even Ryu and Ken. Well, weren't originally planned until feedback from fans. Now 3 and Second Impact didn't do so well. They brought back some fan favorites like Ken, Ryu, Chun-Li, and Akuma, and it was a rocky start, especially trying to push this to old fans. It was almost like it was supposed to be its own game entirely. Oh wait, that's exactly what it was supposed to be, but then it just got as Street Fighter, but it had its renaissance, becoming one of the most popular fighting games known to man. And why? It's fucking awesome. It's Third Strike. It's a simple but complex fighting game that is easy to pick up, hard to master. The parry systems, the super sounds that make any fighting game veteran feel some kind of way. And once people got good, moments like this could happen. But the roster itself is actually one of my favorites, honestly. Ryu, Ken, Akuma, Chun-Li also returned, but also a bunch of new quirky fuckers. Some who have made staples in this series, some where you're just like, what is this? Like, look at this thing. It has no reason to exist, and canonically it's the 12th version of this thing. Like, what is this goofball of a character that is so bad in competitive games, but I just can't help but main him? Most characters have returned in other games like Alex, Dudley, Gil, and others, but playing this game, it's the smoothest out of all of them. Nothing feels better than playing Third Strike, pulling supers, grabbing people to the parry sound, making it still one of the most enjoyable Street Fighters. The combat's smooth, the cancels are great. Now the combos aren't really too complicated, right? Sometimes they're hard to pull off, but everything combined does make this one of the best Street Fighters ever. And then, fighting games kind of went to a standstill after Third Strike. I mean, there were some that released, and a lot of games did come out, but fighting game companies were also doing absolutely dumb shit with their IPs for a good while. Until... Fighter 4, a renaissance per se for fighting games. Now this is where I get to the territory of really knowing nothing. I've never played it during launch, never grew up with it, wasn't one that I had a lot of experience with. Hell, I've only recently played it 4 hours this week. When 4 did come out, I was big into Smash 4, but also even when Ultra and more of the revisions come out, I was more into Mortal Kombat. Ultra Street Fighter 4, the roster is beyond impressive. Now, I know I played the latest version, but there are so many characters, some even wackier than the Third Strikes one. There's another character like Yuri, who is slowly becoming a stateful character in the Street Fighter series. And I think we all know why.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
The mechanics of this game include focus attack, which feels very similar to Street Fighter 6 new mechanics, so I guess this was like the prerequisite to it. Ultra moves, which are supers of supers, kind of comeback mechanic, and you can only get it when you're losing. I think that did cause a little bit of turmoil in the fan base. I've heard about that, but I enjoy it. I like it. And there's probably even more stuff that I didn't figure out in the short amount of hours that I played. But as an arcade mode, they give every character their own personal story and development time. You pick any character and you really start to understand them. And some of the win codes really got me laughing. From 3 makes it returns like characters, except Alex, which is kind of strange as he was trying to be put as the new protagonist. And also, it's the start of our favorite banned YouTuber, LTG.
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself.
4 feels so smooth, it's fast, it doesn't lag. Oddly, there's still people online playing this game. Now, they absolutely wreck my shit, but they're there. I understand why 4 was such a re-upbringing for fighting games, and it's a real shame that everyone was expecting the next game to be the best game ever in history of the world. But then that brought us to It's just bad. Okay, but really, the devs realized the game sucked and worked hard on adding new characters, mechanics, updated battle systems, arcade mode, story mode, to please the fans. Just to be mid.